to do a little video on the subject of atrial fibrillation. First thing is, I'm really sorry I didn't put a video out last week. I'm actually traveling and I'm at present in Split in Croatia. So it's been a little bit difficult trying to get the videos out, but I've managed to find a good Wi-Fi connection, so hopefully I'll be able to upload this. Okay, so the video I wanted to do today was on the subject of atrial fibrillation, and in particular paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, okay, which is when people have atrial fibrillation which just comes of its own accord, lasts minutes, hours, and then goes away, or they have to go to hospital and someone gives them medications or shocks them and then gets rid of the atrial fibrillation. And many patients with paroxysmal atrial fibrillation are firstly concerned that they may be doing their heart some damage, but more importantly, they lose a lot of confidence because the atrial fibrillation can come on at any time. There's no obvious predictor, and many people say to me they can't live their lives as they want to. They refuse dinner with friends, concerts, traveling, because they're afraid of an AF episode occurring. And when the AF episode occurs, they think, oh, how long will it last? What do I do? Where's the medical help? Etc., etc. And so whilst it's all very reasonable to give people tablets, etc., a lot of people say, well, look, I don't want to be on tablets all my life, and I just wish I could do something for myself which could reduce these episodes of atrial fibrillation. And here's an interesting study, two studies that I've found, which investigate how useful yoga can be for atrial fibrillation. Okay, now the first study was one which was published in the European Journal of Cardiovascular Nursing in 2016. The lead author is a lady called Wallstrom, and they studied 80 patients with paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, and they randomized them to either yoga or a control group who did not practice yoga. So the population was divided into two. One group practiced yoga, the other group didn't. The yoga was practiced for an hour once a week for 12 weeks in a hospital with an experienced instructor. And the yoga program included light movements, deep breathing, meditation. And what they did was they wanted to measure the quality of life, the blood pressure and the heart rate, and see what effects the yoga had in these patients. And they compared them at the beginning and at the end of the study. And after 12 weeks, what they found was that the yoga group scored much higher in terms of quality of life. So they felt that their quality of life was much better after 12 weeks compared to the group that didn't perform the yoga. In addition, very interestingly, these people had lower heart rates and lower blood pressure compared to the control group, compared to the group that did not practice the yoga. So one could conclude that 12 weeks of yoga, 1 hour once a week, seems to not only be good for your blood pressure, it reduces your resting heart rate, which is a good thing, and it also improves your overall quality of life, because ultimately it is all about quality of life. Now, it may well be that, you still get the same amounts of AF, but actually if you cope with them better, then your quality of life improves. So ultimately, to my mind, it doesn't really matter how much AF you're getting, as long as your quality of life on the whole is better. And this study shows this quite nicely. There was another study by a guy called Lucky Reddy, which enrolled people with symptomatic paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, again, to twice weekly 60 minutes yoga training for 3 months. All right. So basically what they wanted to do is they wanted to know, does your AF actually get less when you do yoga? So we know quality of life improves, we know heart rate improves, we know blood pressure comes down with yoga, but do the amount of episodes of AF get less with yoga? And what they found was that actually yoga training seemed to reduce episodes. Okay, so there were episodes that they measured which were symptomatic episodes of atrial fibrillation, where the patient knew that they'd gone into AF. Those got less, substantially less. There were periods where people were getting symptoms but not necessarily getting AF. Those got less. And finally, there were people who were getting episodes of AF which they didn't know about, and even those got less with yoga. And in addition, depression, anxiety, and overall quality of life. So depression, anxiety got less, and quality of life got better. So in this study also, they found that the heart rate went down, the blood pressure went down, which was all really good. So in essence, we now have two studies that show that yoga can be extremely beneficial. It improves your physiological variables like the heart rate and the blood pressure. It improves overall quality of life. It reduces anxiety and depression. It reduces episodes of AF which you feel. It reduces episodes of AF which you don't feel. It reduces episodes which you feel but may not necessarily be AF. So all in all, this is really, really good data, and data which should persuade people who suffer from atrial fibrillation, who are actually looking for ways to try and do things for themselves which can make their overall quality of life better, to take up yoga. All right. Why does yoga work? Well, I think the reason is that it introduces a degree of balance. A lot of atrial fibrillation is due to imbalance in the autonomic nervous system. And if you ever get a chance, do look up my videos on vagal AF and the effect of vagus nerve. And in that, I describe what autonomic balance is. But basically, our hearts are finely balanced. Our heart rate is finely balanced between the sympathetic system, which is the flight or fright system, and the parasympathetic system, which is the rest and digest system. And if you have an imbalance, then you are more likely to have atrial fibrillation. So some people get it when they're resting or digesting. Some people get it when they're anxious or exercising. And what yoga does is it makes it more balanced, these two systems. So well worth trying. Thank you so much for watching my video. I promise to put out another video on Saturday. But in the meanwhile, please do take some time to visit my website, which is www.yourcardiology.co.uk. My Facebook page is Your Cardiology 1. And my Twitter page is Your Cardiology. My website, my email address is www.yourcardiology.co.uk. My email address is yourcardiology@gmail.com. So if you want to get in touch with me, please do. I look forward to hearing from you. Because I'm away at the moment, I haven't been able to answer a lot of the queries, but I will try. So thank you so much and all the best. By the way, I highly recommend Split. It's an amazing place. We are staying in the VIP rooms here, which is an apartment block, which is really, really nice. So if you're ever visiting Croatia, I thoroughly, thoroughly recommend it. Thank you so much. All right.